Recently, in an episode of Fantasy News, I covered the story that The Secret of NIMH is getting a special re-release, and I mentioned that I had not seen it, and the wave of comments telling me that I absolutely had to read The Secret of NIMH was overwhelming, especially because even my dad added to the pile and went, dude, that's a must-watch. Plus, I found out it was a Don Bluth film, which is the same man responsible for the likes of Anastasia and gave Disney a run for its money. So, hell yes, I sat down in my little home theater setup, buckled in because I'm overly cautious, put on a helmet, and...
Are you Nicodemus?
I'm in disguise.
Jeremy.
You're in this up to your neck.
What was that? This is one of the most insane scripts I've seen, even for an animated children's movie, and I cannot wait to go through it with you here today. And for future reference, everyone, if you want me to watch or read something telling me it's good, I might pick it up. Telling me it's weird, I'll definitely pick it up. Half the reason I enjoy the fantasy genre is it's able to get weirder than other genres. Same with science fiction. They open the weird possibilities. All right, but without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this film that contains super intelligent rats, magic, and the National Institute of Mental Health. And that is very central to the plot. The story starts off with us meeting Miss Brisby, who is on her way to visit a mouse mad scientist type, not exactly a doctor, he's got like a crazy lab going on, and get medicine for her sick child.
Your son has pneumonia.
Pneumonia?
It's not uncommon, but you can die from it.
Little Timmy. Because if you're gonna have a sick child in a children's fantasy story, naming him Timmy is just a fantastic way to go. And as you can see from the footage on screen now, this is an animated film that has the kind of animation hand-drawn cell style where you can tell what objects are going to move because they'll be like differently colored in the animation. And I adore this animation style. It's obviously a work of immense effort. I mean, they're literally going through and crafting frame by frame. But on top of that, there is just obviously the nostalgia to it as well. So many of my favorite films of all time are in this animation style, and Don Bluth films specifically have a rougher edge to them that even Disney films of the time didn't have, but I don't consider that to be a negative. In a strange sense, they're a bit grimmer and darker as well. Like, he'll really show how dirty a street is, and that edge, as a child, kind of made these feel like real badass. Don Bluth films, they're also willing to go places, as you will see here in this G-rated film, that Disney is absolutely not willing to. And the fact that this is rated G, I'm not saying it should be PG-13R, but at least PG. Then again, it came out in 1982 when, you know, people were still just like, no, yeah, that kid went missing. I don't know, put him on a milk carton or some shit. But she descends into this lab, and we see that there is a society of farmland creatures. This lab is located on the farm, Ms. Brisby lives on the farm, and everything will take place there. But as she is venturing her way home, she runs into the most obnoxious bird character I have possibly ever come across, named Jeremy.
I didn't mean to frighten you.
Oh, you didn't frighten me. I was just sort of working out. You just broke my concentration.
You look more like you're all tangled up.
Jeremy is your typical annoying character introduced deliberately to be annoying in a story like this. He has an over-the-top personality, is clumsy, think like Doug from Up, but far less likable, and instead of getting that moment at the end of the story where they like redeem themselves by like literally flying in like a bird cannon saving the day, so Jeremy kind of sucks, and he's tangled in this string that Ms. Brisby, despite her child being sick at home, is nice enough to stop and try and help him out of, and is just like, hey, look out for the cat while I'm doing it. And Brisby thinks there's a cat coming. It's not. It turns out to be a bunny, because apparently even though he's a bird, he can't see. And then he's like, oh, and if the cat was coming, I'd be sneezing, because I'm allergic to... Get the joke, like, oh, the cat is here. And then we get our first encounter with And I really want to establish this vibe right, so I racked my brain, like, how should I describe Miss Brisby's encounters with the cat? Like, what is the tone going on? It feels exactly like your first Elden Ring boss encounter in Elden Ring. This cat is attacking left and right. She's dodging up and down, barely able to go on the offensive at all, even losing the packet of medicine she needed for little Timmy. She escapes, and we just see her breaking down and crying because she's like, I guess tomorrow I'll have to go back and get more medicine, and I hope Timothy will make it by then. No, because Jeremy does do one good thing in this story, god damn it. He brings her back her medicine.
You weren't so bad yourself. Hey, we make a pretty good team. Oh, here, you dropped this back there. Nobody messes with old Jeremy, boy, nobody.
Now you might be asking, why was Jeremy tied up in the string? Well, that's because he's trying to build a pad. And it's not he's trying to build a nest. It is clearly stated Jeremy's trying to build a place that he can bring a mate to. I guess hence why he's going for colorful string.
Yeah, I guess that's enough exercise for one day. Besides, I'm really after this terrific string. I'm working on a love nest for 2. You know what I mean?
And he then seeks dating advice from this mouse.
I have to go home now.
Where's home?
In the garden patch.
Do you like me?
But instead of finding a mouse alone, he meets me.
Why don't you have a seat right over there, please?
If you're going to feather a nest, you've got a lot to learn about how to treat a lady.
Say, you were a girl once. You could teach me how to, how to...
Behave yourself.
I just need a few pointers to polish my style.
We cut away from this, though, as she is continuing her journey home, refusing a ride home on the back of Jeremy because she's afraid of flying. And we see that the kids are kind of just trying their best to take care of themselves. This is a bad situation because Ms. Brisby's husband, Jonathan, died. And we don't know much about him. And apparently neither did Miss Brisby. We will get into that because it's a problem. She did not know anything about this man. But while the kids are kind of taking care of themselves, we see a neighborhood shrew show up, and she is entirely informed in her character by the fact that she's a shrew, not a criticism, that's a praise. No notes, perfect. And she is judgmental, kind of sucks, but understands, like, Miss Brisby's in a bad position. But she brings a warning, a very important one.
I came here to inform you that the frost is off the ground and moving day is at hand.
Which means the field can be harvested. The tractor's coming. You got to get your family out of here. That's very difficult because little Timmy sick in bed. Also, no Jonathan. She has to move their entire lives, including this brick that they lived in. They live in a cement block, by the way. It's surprisingly roomy inside. And how is she going to manage to do that? Oh my God. We then get this incredibly sweet scene where she's giving little Timmy medicine, and the animation of the kids like crawling around the bed and playing. Characterization is not always done through dialogue. And we learn so much about the dynamic between the kids and the respect they have for her mother and the love they have for Timmy in just this quiet moment of them scuttling around the bed. It is genuinely beautiful. And the soundtrack and score, I've never heard this movie mentioned, so I don't know if it's known for its score online, but it's not outstanding, but I do like how blunt it is.
Future songs and flying dreams wait for you. Love, it seems, made flying dreams.
Kayla brought up a good point if we look at the journey of the medicine so far before it is delivered into Timmy's orifici. And it's a fair critique, I think, that Kayla brought up, that the mad scientist puts in like a paper envelope. The cat attacks them on like a watery pond, and we see it kind of drift in the water, and then it's carried in a bird's beak. But apparently the contents, just held in by this flap, are fine. And that's the least of this movie's questionable decisions, so we're just going to move on from it. It's good, y'all. I don't want to set the bar too high. The strangeness that is about to occur. Buckle up. I'm glad I wore my seatbelt. From here, we cut to a couple of humans and the first inklings of just how weird this story is going to get. Because the wife is talking about the fact that, well, I'll just have her play it out.
Dear, a man came by today from the...
You?
Yes, you know, the National Institute of Mental Health.
You've probably heard of Scientology.
That's right. The National Institute of Mental Health is very interested in the rats located in their rose bush. Whatever you're thinking, it's weirder than that. Also, just kind of tying in, I think, a beautiful little world detail. It's also been established that the cat's name is Dragon, so...
You have to call me Dragon.
This movie is full of just a million delightful little choices like that. But as you can tell from the footage on screen, it is the next morning, and we hear the tractor starting up. This farmer is wasting no time. Frost is off the ground. I gotta feed my family. And he begins plowing the field, and we see rodents fleeing left and right. And oh my God, the brick house or the cement cinder block house that this family lives in, the Brisby family, is going to be eliminated. What to do? Should we just abandon the house, take the kids, carry Timmy out, take up the bird on his offer to fly away and just fly the kids out really quick onto like a safe fence post? No. Instead, Ms. Brisby is actually a survivor and decides, I'm taking that on. What? Ma'am. I didn't know this was a superhero story. And more impressively, taking on her second Elden Ring boss, which we always know in Dark Souls games is like the second boss. That's the one that really gets you. And she manages to stop the harvest, delaying it a day. Tomorrow it will begin because this farmer does gotta feed his fam. 0 deaths, takes no damage, flawless execution. Incredible. She then begins to break down because of the tension of the situation going on and even expresses just like wishing her husband was here. And then the shrew tells her this.
I wish Jonathan were here.
Well, he's not.
This is from a time where if a woman was crying, the proper response was, cut it out. Oh my God. It's confirmed now, though, yes, she must go see the Great Owl. So she takes up Jeremy on his offer for a ride. And the owl, if the cat is like Smaug the dragon, gives off Wizard of Oz vibes, except not a fraud. It's actually like a super wise ancient magical owl. And its introduction is killer. I loved it. First of all, we get this like moody, like Owl's Den, which if you've seen what Owl's Nest looks like, they are terrifying. And before the threat of the owl is even established, we see a Shelob-esque spider drifting down the wall behind Miss Brisby. Holy crap, we're actually going to get a Shelob, except no, we're not. Owlfoot stomps it out. Then we get the most sick head turn of an owl I've seen since that one in a Ghibli film. And he proceeds to live up to every bit of hype the Great Owl has had built to it so far. He is scary. It does feel like he might eat her, except she mentions her name, and her husband is recognized. How did her husband know the Great Owl? Why does he seem to have a working relationship with her husband before he died? Miss Brisby does not know. And ma'am, you have a lot of children. Is that all you two did? But it gets way more convoluted than that. You shall see. The owl tells her that she must go find a rat named Nicodemus.
Go to the rats.
But I don't know any rats.
In the rose bush.
Oh, yes. Near the farmhouse.
Go there. Ask for Nicodemus.
Nicodemus? But how can they help?
They must move your house to the lee of the stone.
No rat could move my house.
They have ways.
At this point, I started thinking like, okay, maybe her husband was like a veteran of some kind, and it seems like just from the way the owl's speaking, there's some kind of like establishment and resistance. So the world building is actually like quite effective and nice. I'm just kind of left wondering like, what was Brisby doing her whole life that she did not know what's going on in the community within the farm? But don't worry, the answer to that is justified, but he specifically lets her know, like, the rats will be able to move your house, and they will do it for you because of your husband. And then he must go. Why? He must go. No time!
I must go.
Before all that, he tells her, remember the lee of the stone, which is setting up a magic rock? That is just another angle of what later? And from here, we cut to Miss Brisby having another interaction with Jeremy, telling him like, hey, I'm going to go to the thorn bushes and meet with the rats. And he is just making a big old ruckus, and we know that Cat is nearby. And she's like, dude, keep your cool. No, I'm not taking you because you're awful and clumsy.
I'm in disguise.
Jeremy, please. Not now.
Here, let me help you. Ow!
Will you be quiet? Someone strong should be protecting my children in case that tractor starts up again.
Oh, in case the track. Hey! How about me?
Kids don't do drugs.
So yes, she gets him to just go take care of her kids, which, I mean, good call. I actually don't really disagree with like many of Miss Brisby's calls, because the worst the Crow could do is like not properly warn the children. I don't think he's going to hurt the kids, and what ends up happening is just some light rope play with a shrew. We'll get there, and not a horrible situation, but she must continue on into the rose bushes. What she wasn't prepared for, though, is these are the scariest rose bushes in cinema history, filled with what to me looks like ancient alien technology, just some bizarre shit, as well as supernaturally growing vines and a screamy face. And in one of the strangest sequences I've seen in a while, like the witch's reprieve in the dark woods that we see in Berserk, she comes across this lovely little steading of so nice, except is cut off by a guard rat who, no words, just begins trying to murder her. And you think maybe this guy's going to apologize later, maybe he's going to turn out to be like an important No. Just another Elden Ring boss for her. What? Oh my God, how are you alive? But after she manages to get away from this bloodthirsty guard of the rat domain, she runs into the mad scientist who is on his way to the rats as well. And he drops a very important tidbit of information here. No, it's not an explanation why his leg is broken. When she inquires about that, he says,
Forgive me, I just noticed you're limping.
That's none of your affair.
And by the way, that is not answered the rest of the film. Why is his leg broken? None of your business. Leave him alone. None of your concern. What was that little rat paradise in the woods? Why would you ask that? Why? That's not concern for you. But the important information he gives her is you couldn't have gone to see the owl. Everyone who goes to see the owl dies.
The owl told me to see Nicodemus.
Oh, yes, perhaps you should... The owl said? Here now, what owl? What are you talking about?
I went to see the great owl, and he said I should ask for Nicodemus.
Yes, I know Nicodemus.
He lives with the rats.
More specifically, he's the leader of the rats.
You know him?
No one has ever seen the owl and lived to tell about it.
Then why did the shrew tell her to go see the owl?
The great owl would know what to do about this. You must go see him.
I couldn't do that.
If everyone... Why? I really want to know what was the thought process for the shrew to give that advice. My theory, she wants Miss Brisby's kids to die.
The great owl would know what to do about this. You must go see him.
I couldn't do that.
Cushus monster!
Bossy bullfrog!
Spoiled brat!
Loudmouth!
Oh! Well... You impertinent little...
Martin!
It's established earlier she hates them. I think she's trying to exterminate this whole family, and my theory is she actually got Miss Brisby's husband killed, but I will expound upon that once more information is unfurled. And yeah, the bad doctor doesn't really like people, bit of a shut-in, but he is working with the rats, and here we are finally taken to the secret society of rats. Oh, but before we get there, I want to mention the fact that this whole story kind of has this framing device around it, which is Nicodemus, the rat she's been going to go see, kind of observing her through magic and like commentating on like how much she's going to suffer at the hands of society of rats. Does he warn her once she arrives? No. There's reasons, kind of, but there's not a whole lot of reasons for character decisions from here on out in the story. I just want to prepare you for that, because I'm going to say a lot of things are happening, and you're going to ask why, and I just want you to know, so did I. But the secret society of rats is revealed to be, yes, an actual, like, with infrastructure, awesome society. It's kind of been presented that all of the different farm creatures are just kind of, like, on their own so far, and many of them, like, kind of live, like, a feudal, medieval level. This society seems to be far above that, and that's why I'm calling them the Rat Lobotomy. Like Illuminati, but Rat Lobotomy. Take the loo out, and you put the rat in. I like it. And on the way into the rat super society, where they seem to be like stealing and hoarding a bunch of things from humans and using their electricity to power their devices, we meet another rat named Justin.
Reveal thy name.
Justin, you featherhead. Get your hands off me.
Okay, just a joke.
who is like the handsome hero Aragorn stand-in, but not a love interest for Ms. Brisby because she's loyal to her dead boo. Justin also knew Jonathan, though, and they were buds, and it turns out that Jonathan rolled with the rats and was an agent for them. What did you and your husband talk about? Why did he keep so many secrets from you? Also, I have not talked about enough of the art within this film. It is genuinely gorgeous. The set pieces for Ms. Brisby to survive are enthralling to just kind of experience because they're dark and dingy, far more dangerous feeling than anything I'd expect in a G-rated Disney film. I mean, even the darkest stuff in The Lion King. Not touching this. But there's also just like these red strobing lights going on while she's entered the Rat Society. Not explained, but don't take it away. I like the strange, and it's about to go from like a 5 to a 9 because we take an underground lamp passage into the secret functioning world of the Rat Illuminati and learn there's a schism going on. They, one, are hesitant to allow her in to begin with, but they find out who her husband is. And guess who knows her husband? And now we meet the evil rat, one that Nicodemus gave us a little bit of like voiceover earlier to say like is the schemer, the bad boy of the rebellion. You'd think like maybe they should have introduced that character earlier, set it up without just like direct narration stating it. That's dumb. No, if you want to set something up to pay it off, you just have a character say it directly to the audience. It's the best way. But Jeremy leans over to a guy who's like kind of hesitant to support him and begins hatching a plan to screw over Miss Brisby.
Wait, my friend. I smell an opportunity.
What?
Maneuvers of this nature are dangerous. Accidents could happen.
And we know this guy's evil because he was throwing shade earlier, just like, bad guy. Jenner sucks. And if you're having trouble keeping track of all the J names, I agree. Because so far, we have Jonathan, Jeremy, Justin, and now Jenner. There's like 8 named characters. The meeting ends, though, with everyone voting to help Miss Brisby move her house because Jenner's like, I have an opportunity here. And she is sent off to meet with Nicodemus. But before we get to see that, we cut back to see how Jeremy is handling the children. And this is where the rope play comes into it because the shrew has decided to tie him up. And I am convinced, why was she with the kids? Was she about to enact her plan to kill them all, but Jeremy showed up and it distracted her? Possibly. Jeremy convinces the children to stay here at the house because their mother is off doing her best in the thorn bushes for the rats. Cool, although we see like the kids want to go help their mom. It's adorable. I love the kids. I love the family. Yes. But after this quick update, we are back to meeting Nicodemus. And I know what you're saying. He's been saying like ominous narration, clearly knows so much about Jenner planning terrible things and is going to fill her in and explain everything. What if I said he does none of that and instead raises like 100 more questions? Because the Stone of Lee is somehow tied into like this magical stone that only responds if you have, I'll let him explain it.
When worn by one with a courageous heart, the stone glows red. It becomes a blinding radiance. The stone has a power when it's there.
Look, an inscription. You can unlock any door if you only have the key. Oh, thank you. I will treasure it always.
And then he explains the origin of Jonathan, Miss Brisby's husband. And then he explains the origin of Jonathan, Miss Brisby's husband.
We were captured, put in cages, and sent to a place called Nim. There were many animals there, in cages. They were put through the most unspeakable tortures to satisfy some scientific curiosity. Often at night, I would hear them crying out in anguish. 20 rats and 11 mice were given injections. Our world began changing.
They are slowing!
turns out Jonathan was a part of a experiment, yes, you guessed it right, executed by the National Institute of Mental Health. And we are now entering the animal experimentation portion of this film. Nicodemus, take it away.
One night, I looked upon the words under the cage door and understood them. We had become intelligent. The miracle was kept secret from the scientists. And in the quiet of the night, we escaped through the ventilation system. The mice were blown away. Sucked down dark air shafts to their deaths. All except two. Jonathan and Mr. Ages. We were trapped by a locked door on the roof. It was Jonathan who made possible the unlocking of the door.
I just love the idea of taking like my 4-year-old or 5-year-old and sitting them down in front of the TV, like not being sure like what this is, but I'm like, oh, it's a G-rated film from the 80s. I'll just leave them. And then I come back in 30 minutes later and they're watching animals being injected against their will, which, yes, does make the rats become super intelligent. But animals were already intelligent in this movie, but now they're like human smart. They know too much. They've gained like sentience and now are anointed above. Hence why earlier in like the courtroom scene, one of the rats referred to like the other animals in the farm as the lowers, which, dude, come on. But first, I just wanted to give a tremendous thank you to today's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to educate and encourage entrepreneurs to stand out online, something that is getting harder and harder to do. Whether it's just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time. Because all of existence is coming down to those 3 things, and that kind of scares me. Not only will you be able to learn the tips and tricks of your trade, but they're jam-packed with features to help your business get off the ground running. Those little quick feet, that's a run right there. Their asset library allows you to upload, organize, and access all your content one place, as well as manage all your files from one central hub and use them across the entire Squarespace ecosystem. And if you do not have a background in coding like myself and the idea of designing a website scares you, understandably so, don't worry. Squarespace has a fluid engine that makes it easy as just dragging and dropping what you want into the place it needs to go. Whether it's blogs, email campaigns, gated member areas, whatever, Squarespace is here to help you succeed and get your business functioning online. So head on over to Squarespace for a free trial, and when you're ready to make your first purchase of a domain or website, go to squarespace.com/Daniel Green and get 10% off your first purchase. Back to the video. Okay, so just to make sure we're all on the same page here, I would like to recap. This is a movie about the National Institute of Mental Health, which for some reason was experimenting with drugs on rats, something that I think they could believably do. And somehow those drugs made a group of rats supremely super intelligent. 2 additional details for this scene of absolute horror in a G-rated children's film from the 80s. There were all kinds of animals being tested on here, including monkeys, rats, and mice. But the mice were all killed when they were sucked down a black hole into oblivion, with the only 2 survivors being Jonathan and the mad scientist doctor. Hence why they seem to be the 2 who are on the same level as the rats, despite Ms. Briggs also seemingly being on the same level and at least cognizant as well as the shrew, but let's not get too far into the weird classism being implied in this world. So that is why the mad scientist has this whole lab set up and is on this crazy level, and Jonathan seemed to be this like uber charismatic Captain America type going around being a part of the major cause. And the National Institute of Mental Health has somehow tracked them down and probably wants to exterminate them. Unfortunately, Jonathan ended up dying. We learned that it was on a mission to drug the cat so they can execute their plan to evacuate the thorn bushes and leave the farm so that the rats can live in peace off in their own world. Except with his death, now Miss Brisby has a challenge of her own. Her child, Timmy, is sick, and so she went to get medicine from a mad doctor who's kind of supremely intelligent. And so she got the medicine, but on the way back, nearly lost it as a cat tried to attack her. But she met a nice little crow named Jeremy, who's been helping her since it's now field harvesting day, and her home will be destroyed if she does not evacuate her home somehow. She can't really do that because of her bedridden child and the fact that her home is a heavy cinder block. I keep saying brick. Sorry. Now, she is off to get help from the rats, who a great owl told her will help. There's a powerful magical red stone, the Stone of Lee, that is also going to somehow respond to immense courage and greatness and bring power, which is unrelated, because that's magic, to the super intelligent rats, which is science. And also, earlier, there were unexplained ancient alien artifacts in the rose bushes. That's where we're at. And now... This is an 80-minute movie, by the way. I feel the need to strongly emphasize that. But now, as you heard earlier, after Ms. Brisby gets the 411 from Nicodemus, there is a plot active to kill Nicodemus from Jenner, not Jeremy. Jenner. Jeremy's the crow, Jenner is the bad guy. Why all the J names? And you think maybe this plot's actually going to happen while they're on this canoe together, and there's even like a bit of debris that falls near them. You're like, oh, that could be it. But no, the Jenner is going to execute his plan later. For now, Nicodemus is just finally unveiling like the grand plan, which is apparently the rats feel guilty about stealing electricity from the humans, and that's actually a motivating factor for why they want a GTFO. And the reason Jenner disagrees is he wants to just keep stealing from the humans. I'll let him explain it, because it doesn't even sound real coming from me.
Plan? What is the plan?
To live without stealing, of course.
It's wrong to take electricity from the farmer.
My child, we can no longer live as rats. We know too much.
The Brisby house is a large cement
Block. In the moving, what if it should fall? Cut the lines, and the weight of it will crush his bones.
And then there's this weird writing choice where Ms. Brisby's like, I gotta go take care of my kids. She walks up, but then she comes back down and is like, oh, and I'll drug the cat for you like my husband is supposed to. And all right, that was okay. I just watched this whole unedited, uncut segment where Nicodemus is just sitting in the little boat.
About dragon, maybe? Oh, nothing. Goodbye. I volunteer.
While she's going to like pack up her kids and take care of everything, though, Jeremy sees the jewel she's been given by Nicodemus and like really wants it and gets like aggressive about it. And again, Kayla and I made eye contact and we're just like, oh no, we agree. Like he went from being like a cute kind of annoying character to Jeremy just sucks.
Ooh, a sparkly.
What?
You're wearing a sparkly. Can I hold? Oh, please. Can I?
Jeremy, listen. I need lots and lots of string.
Stone. I just thought I'd mention in passing. I've always wanted a sparkly of my very own.
Will you get going?
And it's crucial to understand a similar object in fantasy would be the One Ring, which has important scenes that are similar to this about a temptation happening that seems evil. It's metaphorical to a problem or flaw within humanity in the real world, and within the story, it changes and impacts the characters, specifically within the Fellowship. The Lee Stone, none of this comes up again. But before she can do the whole packing up her kids things, she needs to drug the cat so the cat won't interfere, I believe, with them moving the cinder block of her home, which the rats are going to do through like their ability to work with tech. And so her and Justin, the hero rat from before, break in, and now she must drug the cat's food, which she does succeed in doing, except on her way back.
Get back.
Mom, don't let the cat in yet. I've got a mouse.
A mouse?
Can I keep it?
All right.
And I just want you to know, anything could happen at this point in the movie, and I would not have the capacity to be shocked anymore. She could be just kept in this cage, and the remaining of the runtime be like a Prison Break style plot line with Miss Brisby, and I would not be too surprised. It's anything's on the table. But through seeing these humans, we get the bit of information dropped that apparently In addition to tomorrow being like an official harvest day, in the morning, even before that, the National Institute of Mental Health is coming by to take a look at the rats in the thorn bushes that are super intelligent. So that's got to be handled.
No, you can bulldoze that rose bush right out of there. I want those rats exterminated.
We cut to the rats arriving at her house and using all their contraptions to lift the cinder block from the dirt. And this is where Jenner's plot is unveiled, because he begins cutting the ropes just as the boat and family and everything is going down the river at the right time to harm Nicodemus. Except right when he's doing this, his second, who's been hesitant to follow him and back him up in his like drive to continue stealing from the humans, I guess, betrays him. But Jenner still manages to cut it all down, and the worst happens. The home sinks, and in addition to that, Nicodemus dies. Like, no, he's dead. The guy who was the framing device and like a powerful wizard vibe, he's just crushed. And that's the end of it for him. Bye. And there's a fine line of distinction to be drawn here, where I actually really enjoy the characterization going on with Jenner. He's mustache twirling evil. It feels appropriate. His second that's having doubts, despite only having a few lines, you kind of get a vibe of. And even Justin, like the heroic mouse who's had very few lines, feels appropriate, right? Like you get who he is. My complaint is I just wish motivations were more fleshed out. Everything that happens, every decision made, just kind of feels at this point in the story like, because yeah, that's happening. While this is going on and tragedy is striking, though, Miss Brisby does manage to escape through her water dish, which I actually think is a pretty clever little way to escape. She ends up falling next to the cat, but because she did manage to deliver the drugs earlier, it opens one eye, but is tripping way too hard to do anything to stop her. It just does the one eye like, ugh. And back at the accident, Jenner is taking charge now that Nicodemus is dead and telling everyone to abandon hope and flee. Total monster. Really dig that vibe for him. And Brisby arrives at this scene just in time for the Mad Doc to be like, Nicodemus is dead. And Brisby's like, oh, wow, my God. And she alerts them. Well, this is where Jenner kind of fully snaps.
Nim's coming.
Nim?
In the morning.
Nim?
Yes. You will all die unless you leave the farm tonight.
Lies.
Please, you must believe me.
What if it's true?
We'll all be killed.
Don't panic. Don't listen. She's hysterical.
Get out now. Ah!
You get out. I've had enough.
And as you saw, Jenner sees the stone. He wants it, but Justin steps in and fully embodies the hero rat persona he has been briefly set up to be.
Jenner, stop this!
Stone.
And he just kind of blanketly makes the accusation that Jenner killed Nicodemus, which, like, yeah, I would probably make that accusation as well. But Jenner, despite being capable of murder, not capable of lying. Just kind of cops to it, despite many witnesses being around who would also have a problem with him and probably not follow him anymore after the admittance.
It was you. You did it. You killed Nicodemus. That was no accident.
Yes, I killed him.
Okay. Oh, and if you thought Nicodemus being crushed to death was going to be the most graphic murder of this film, no, because our hero, Justin, then manages to stab Jenner to death. Followed up with this. And to clarify, if you were a bit confused, Jenner wanted to just keep living off the humans. Like, that was his motivation. He wants to destroy their ability to leave. He just wants to stay here. Why? I asked that as well. But just as you think, okay, the situation's a bit resolved, we're okay, Jenner's gone. No, the house is sinking. And now they have to, without their equipment ready to go, try and lift this out. And I know what you're thinking. Time for Jeremy to step in. Strong Crow's going to come and lift along with the rats. No, he does not. And instead, they're trying to not have the kids sink and drown. Oh my God. By the way, where's Timmy? Timmy's bedridden. Specifically, cannot get out. Here's a shot of the children. Timmy is not among them. Timmy drowned. I don't mean to person. Timmy's drowning currently. He's not really. We're going to see him at the end, but like.
What about Timmy? Get us out of here!
How is he alive? But what actually happens is after it fully sinks and it seems like every child will be dead, the amulet decides now is the time to allow Miss Brisby to what? Go Super Saiyan. My response to all of that is sure. My personal takeaway, though, my dream ending to this film would be the super intelligent rats abandon their supreme intelligence and begin to just worship Miss Brisby because she has attained true magic and is a god. That's not what happens, though. But instead, we cut to the future where we know, okay, the rats have migrated on, so there's not going to be a problem on the farm anymore, and we see Miss Brisby is living happily with her children.
Mama, I'm tired of that. I want to get up.
Well, you're not getting up.
And as I pointed out before, and I will reiterate here again, Jeremy did absolutely nothing this entire movie aside from be aggressive with Miss Brisby, clumsy, and kind of get in the way, and not really even protect the kids much aside from saying, like, don't leave. He did the bare minimum of a babysitter. And at the end, he comes back in, once again, trying to build his shack palace, if you know what I'm saying, and he runs into his perfect mate.
What's a guy like me gonna do with a love nest anyway?
That vital last thread tied into a nice disorganized knot, because that's how Jeremy would tie it. And he tried to buy her with a gem. Like, he meets a mate, and his first instinct is to go to Miss Brisby and be like, hey, I need the gem to buy this woman's affection. And Miss Brisby's like, no, just go show her you're athletic.
I gotta have the sparkly! Miss B, I gotta have it. Girls can't resist the sparkly. Oh, please, please.
I gave it to Justin,
Justin? Who the heck is Justin?
the leader of the rats.
The leader of the rats. How could you do this to me? What'll I say? Mrs. B, what'll I do?
Well, just be athletic.
It was just to establish that Jim went off with the rats, but still, like... I love the symbolism of the child going to peek on the two birds and the mutual string laughing. All right. The end message of this is so strange because the supreme society that referred to others as lowers doesn't decide to help anyone revolutionize society, and instead just hears the National Institute of Mental Health is coming and dips. And I guess we have to just assume, speculate, that in this mythological future world, a supreme race of rats will rise up one day, and there will be two dominant species on Earth. That's the canonical ending of The Secrets of NMHA, and I'm very conflicted to try to watch the second one. There is a sequel to see if that's brought in, because with the random journey we just went on, I don't know if any of it will. I feel like it'll be really dissatisfying. And if there's one other important thing for you to take away from this, if someone asks you how you broke your leg, you are completely in your right to say, never mind you. And thank you, everyone, for watching, recommending this insane little journey to me. It was totally a blast. Yeah, I poked fun at it, but I would genuinely say this is like a solid 7 to... Yeah, like a solid 7. Really weird, which means it's my kind of movie, and a great way to spend 80 minutes. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. And have a good one, y'all. Peace.